Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is Pop Culture Feminists on Studio U, Voice of OU. I'm your host, Scout Stanford.
And I'm your other host, Lily Clegg.
Yay!
Yay.
All right, this week we're talking about musicals, which I figured was fitting since last week we had musical guests.
True. Yes.
But other than that, I had no reason. I just really like musicals, to be honest with you.
Bold of you to assume we ever have a strategy for picking our topic.
That's super true. Usually it's, what do we know?
It's about women.
Or what's making us mad that week, like when we did the tennis episode.
True, yeah.
That was
very topical.
Yeah, that was super related. Anyway, so, like I said, today we're talking about musicals, and I'm going to kick us off with the one that everyone probably knows the best in the general audience, which is Grease.
You're the one I want. That was all I was going to say. I was like...
Or, summer loving happens so fast. Yeah, neither of us can sing. Moving on.
Ouch.
Well, what do you want me to say?
I don't know.
Anyway, so, Grease, John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John.
Yes.
Summer lovers.
Yes. And then beyond summer lovers.
Yes. All right. I got 3 people in Grease I want to talk about.
3.
Yeah, I know, right?
I think I know which 3.
Probably. It's the main 3.
The main 3 female characters.
Yeah, you don't say. So, of course, we're talking about Sandy, Olivia Newton-John, because how could we not talk about her? And also, I want to spiral off later into some fan theories about the end of Grease, but we'll get there in a second. That's unrelated to feminist content.
It's
I just figured it's something that people might be interested in.
Yeah, I am.
Me too. Okay. So, Sandy. Okay, so the whole thing you need to know about Grease, if you haven't seen it, is that they play up a bunch of stereotypes.
Yes.
The end. That's pretty much it. Good girl falls in love with a bad boy. Good girl falls in with bad girls. There's a lot of other stuff going on.
Becomes a bad girl.
Yeah. So, probably the most controversial message in Grease is the whole thing at the end, because, so, here's the deal. John Travolta's like, oh, I'm gonna go good guy for my good girl, and then she shows up, and she's like, no, I've gone bad girl for my bad guy.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Cool, like, easier for me.
It's almost like the gift of the Magi, if y'all aren't familiar. That's like...
That's hysterical.
You know, right. That's like, oh, I got you a comb for your hair. And you're like, oh, but I sold my hair to buy you... What does she get him?
I don't know.
She gets him something, but he sold whatever was related to that to buy her the comb.
Yep.
So... no one wins, right? But it's sweet because it's a nice gesture. Well, it would have been sweet, right, in Grease, except for that John Travolta's decision was very easily reversible. In fact, literally all he does is take off a jacket.
He's like, this jacket, it holds my bad boy power, so when I take it off, I'm no longer a bad boy.
No, reverse. He had put on a jacket to be a good boy. A Letterman jacket.
A Letterman jacket. Oh, because he's trying to be a jock.
Yeah, because that's like the upstanding youth culture, is a jock. So he's literally just wearing a Letterman jacket over his, like, tight black greaser clothes. And then the second Sandy shows up in tight black greaser clothes, he's just like...
Well, okay, never mind.
Super reversible decision. Sheds jacket, combs hair. He's like, we can live happily as greasers now. Yay! But, you know, there's just some other stuff going on with Sandy. Because, like, you know, there's that song, Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dee, and they're relating her to Sandra Dee, who was, like, an icon of, like, purity and chastity and all that jazzy jazz. You know, and it's funny because her name's Sandy.
Yep.
And, you know, to be honest with you, I've never totally understood the tone of that line that she says when she says, "You making fun of me, Riz?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, like, she's
obvious
hurt, but, like, yeah. And then, you know, Rizzo, like, feels bad about it, but doesn't want to feel bad about it, I guess, because she's like, some people are so touchy.
Mm-hmm. I
don't know. That's just a weird scene to me. It always is. I've seen that movie 80 gazillion times, and I'm always like,
It's kind of a weird movie, honestly.
Well, yeah, that is the ending we'll get to later.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy and
There's
weird.
There's just weird parts. And if you've seen, like, because the musical version, I've seen a musical version of it that's not the movie.
Yeah,
and
like
it's slightly different.
Oh? Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess they'd have to, because you can't have the car flying off at the end.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember what the end is like exactly. There's just, I don't know, it's extended kind of, because it's longer. But, I mean, there's not, like, major changes. There's just, like, more content, and it's slightly different, and it's still slightly weird. I don't know.
Mood.
There's something slightly weird about Grease.
I mean, yes.
Because most of it is, like, normal, stereotypical, but then there's just some stuff where I'm like, this is weird. What's happening?
Yeah. But, oh, what's the other thing I want to talk about with Sandy? Oh, when she's, like, with John Travolta, and then she's not with John Travolta, and then she's with John Travolta, and then she's not with John Travolta, because he keeps doing lousy things.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to feel her up, at the drive-in, or abandoning her at the dance.
Yeah,
and so
dancing with other chicks.
His ex-girlfriend, in fact, who's like all over him, and I don't know. You know, she leaves, but then she just like comes back, and it's just like, I guess that's part of the stereotype of the good girl, is that she like can't resist the bad boy.
Yeah.
Which it just serves to make that ending message that much worse.
Yeah.
Is like, not only does she continuously come back to him despite the fact that he's done really lousy things, but then she like changes her whole persona for him.
Right.
It's just like, cool.
Good job.
Good message.
Love it.
Anyway, so that's pretty much all you can really say about Sandy. She's not that complex of a character, to be honest with you.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Rizzo, because she's far more interesting, to be honest.
True, honestly.
Okay, so for those of you not familiar, Rizzo is the bad girl. She's the, I don't want to say queen, but leader of the Pink Ladies, which is like their little girl group.
Gang.
Yeah, girl gang. Love it. Anyway, I was Rizzo for Halloween once.
Excellent.
We should post that picture on our Facebook, because I looked very good, to be honest with you. I tried very hard on my Rizzo costume. Anyway, moving on. So she's the bad girl. She's the trollop. I don't think we're supposed to say other words on here. Promiscuous girl. Thank you. I can say trollop though. Ha. Yeah. I beat the system.
Trollop's fine. You know what we're getting at.
Yeah. Anyway, so she sleeps with John Travolta, Danny, that's his name, Danny Zuko. And then she sleeps with Kaneki. And they don't use protection, and then she has a pregnancy scare. And if she wasn't already stigmatized enough, now everyone hears word that she's pregnant.
Yeah, she was literally like, I'm going to tell you, but don't tell anyone. And the girl immediately leaves the bathroom and tells, like, everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
Well, she tells one person who tells one person who tells one. That's the kind of thing that happens in those movies.
Yes, and I mean, that's part of just, like, playing up the stereotype, like.
Yeah.
Everyone says, don't tell anyone, and then everyone gets told.
Where she's like, don't tell anyone, but I might be pregnant with Kaneki's baby. And then, like, a minute later, he comes up to her and is like, what?
You're pregnant with my child?
And she's like, what the heck?
Actually, I adore her line there, because she says, I guess good news travels fast.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but so, and she has this really great song about the stigmas that she faces as a sexually free female in the 50s. It's supposed to be the 50s.
Yeah.
It was actually like the 80s, but
yeah, it's set in the 50s.
Yeah, I think it's the 50s. Yeah. So she sings about how, like, well, why do I have to stay home and not ever have any fun just to be liked by everybody?
Yeah.
She was like, that doesn't make any sense. Of course, she says it in a more songtastic way, but I always thought that song sent a really good message. And then plus at the end of it, she's kind of like, I have feelings too.
Yeah.
I play this tough girl because y'all are always so mean to me, but like I'm human,
Yeah.
Stop being bullies.
Yes.
Of course,
that is a very good song.
It is an amazing song. What is the name of that song?
I think it's like There Are Worse Things.
Yes, There Are Worse Things I Could Do.
Mm-hmm.
That one. It's a great song. It sends a great message. That's literally the lyrics. Is like,
yeah, she's basically like, I haven't like killed anyone. Like, calm down.
And she also says like, it's not like I lead on a bunch of guys. Yeah. If I'm flirting with a guy, then I like go through with what I'm doing. Which I mean.
It's a little bit.
You don't have to go through with anything, ladies, just because you're flirting. But
no.
Besides that part, the song is a very good message.
She's just like, I'm not a tease, basically.
Yeah. It's okay to. Sorry, I just feel the need to reiterate. It's okay to be a tease. Like that's a stupid social concept. You can always say no whenever you change your mind. So
yes, it's
just a heads up to all you ladies.
She just prided herself on not doing it.
Right.
For whatever reason.
That was just her MO, and that's what she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just, I don't know, just, she had all of this stuff working against her, and it was really sad, and I really liked that song, because I thought it was choice. Yes. Sorry, that's about all I have to say about that. And so, be surprised, I have even less to say about Frenchie, but I wanted to talk about her anyway. So, Frenchie is this really nice girl who's also in the Pink Ladies. And she's portrayed as kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But really kind. She's the one who talks to Sandy on the first day of school. She's the one who kind of protects her when Rizzo's being a little mean at first. She does everything to help out Sandy that she can.
Right.
And but about halfway through the movie, she drops out of high school because she feels like she's not doing very well, and how, like, she could do better if, she just went straight into work. So she joins what is it called? Cosmetology school?
Yeah.
Hair school, essentially.
Yeah.
And, so, she's trying to do that, but she kind of reveals later that she's not doing so well. That's the other thing, is that everybody kind of treats her like crap.
Even though she's super nice to everybody else.
She's so nice to everybody, and she's there for everybody. And they just, like, forget about her and don't care about her feelings. And they try and make her pay for a whole bunch of food that all 8 of them or 10 of them ordered, Like, holy cow, man.
Like, thanks. Good friends.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, you're working now, so you can pay for everything. It's like, okay, you're terrible friends.
Rude.
Frenchie's the only, like,
nice person.
decent person in that whole group, to be honest with you.
Truly. Even Sandy is
I know, that's the whole thing, is that they, like, paint Sandy as this, like, really innocent, nice girl, but she's, like, she's not, really. It's just Frenchie. Frenchie's so underrated.
True.
Fun fact, Frenchie is the only person to appear in both Grease 1 and Grease 2.
Funny, I didn't know that.
Yep, it's true.
I haven't seen Grease 2.
It's not great, but
well, yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. I like it. It's got Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
Oh, well.
Michelle Pfeiffer plays the new Sandy.
The new Sandy.
It's like Sandy's cousin or something. No, I'm serious.
And, like, the exact same thing happens to her. Or a little bit.
Except for instead of cars, it's motorcycles.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
Yeah, no joke. No joke. Frenchie's still in high school. That's the only, that's, the joke is that she's so dumb, she's still in high school. You know?
Yeah.
Because, sorry, to continue with everyone who's not familiar with Grease, she goes to beauty school, but then she's really bad at that too. Mm-hmm. And so her guardian angel comes and sings to her and tells her to go back to high school. So she does. But, yeah. It's like a running joke into the second movie that she's so stupid that she's still there even after a couple years later. So yeah, I just feel really bad for Frenchie. She's such a good character, and they really kind of
beat up on her.
Yeah, they did. Like the other characters beat up on her, but also the writer and director beat up on her. Yeah, it's just mean.
Poor
Frenchie. Okay, your turn, Lily. I'll stop talking about Grease.
Woo.
Oh, wait, no. We wanted to talk about the endings, the fan theory endings.
Oh, true, yes.
Okay, so, at the end of Grease, Sandy and, John Travolta, Danny fly off in their car into the space, and it's very weird.
Good.
And people have debated for a long time about what this is about. And it's kind of preempted earlier in the script because the person who's helping them fix up this car is if she ran any better, she could fly. And so it's foreshadowed there. But a lot of people operate on, maybe not a lot, but enough people that they got to the internet and shared it a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Operate under this theory that Sandy is actually in a coma for this whole movie.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the movie, she meets Danny on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And the theory is that, she, hits her head on a rock or something.
Yeah.
And
imagines that.
Yeah, she gets put into a coma, and then this whole story is just completely made up. Mm-hmm. Which would explain the car at the end, yeah.
We'll explain everything weird that happens in the movie.
Yeah, about how weird, yeah. But, I don't know. I don't know if I buy into it, to be perfectly honest. I'm not sure. I kind of just like that it's real, and then suddenly the car flies off.
Yeah.
I like to think of my life like that.
Yeah?
I have hopes that one day cars will magically fly.
The car that you're in will just fly off into the sun.
Well, not into the sun.
Yes,
I don't want that.
Literally into the sun.
Oh, no.
That's my dream. No, I'm kidding.
Oh. One of our viewers does not like the beauty school dropout song.
Mm-hmm. I don't particularly care for it.
I mean, I like that they incorporated the other pink ladies into her little weird fantasy.
Yeah.
And put them in the silver capes and the hair stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. But her guardian angel's mean to her.
Yeah.
He says
he's just wake up.
He says she looks like a hooker.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, he says that she does makeup like a hooker.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's not great. He's a mean guardian angel.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you need some tough love, I guess.
That's true. But even after she gets the tough love, she still gets bullied by the director by putting her as a dummy in the next movie. It's great, thanks.
Thank you.
Frenchie does not get a redemption arc, and I'm still mad about that. It's 2018. Give Frenchie a redemption arc.
Grease 3, Frenchie's Tale.
Yes. Okay. Now we can move on.
What are we moving on to?
You want to talk about Next to Normal?
I can, yes.
Let's move on. Lily's going to talk to us about Next to Normal, which is a musical that I shockingly have not seen. I'm a big musical buff. And I'm going to have to go home and watch this one. But for right now, Lily's going to talk to us about its characters.
Yes, I am. Well, I haven't actually seen the full musical, but I've listened to the soundtrack. And when you listen... when you listen to the soundtrack of a musical, you basically know the whole story.
Yes, so. I'm going to be talking about Hamilton, and obviously I have not seen that one in person because I don't have the money for that stuff.
Mood.
But I've listened to the soundtrack 80 gazillion times, and I will be talking about the characters. Continue.
Yes. Yeah, Next to Normal might be one that not a lot of people know. I mean, they did perform at the Tonys the year it came out, but not a lot of people watched the Tonys even, so...
That's true.
And it was a few years ago, so...
even the Oscars are dying, so the Tonys are...
Yeah, the Tonys are definitely also dying. It came out in 2008.
Okay.
So that's 10 years ago.
Ooh.
I
a whole decade.
I was like, it was 6 years ago, and I'm like, no, it was not. It was 10 years ago, because I have no concept of time.
Mood.
It's centers around, like, the story of a family who's coping with, the mother has bipolar disorder and how it affects her and her family.
Ooh, interesting.
And basically they had like a son that died when he was young, I think, and she basically hallucinates that he's still alive and grown up.
Oh boy.
And living with them.
Okay.
So it's like he kind of acts as like, I don't know, kind of a guardian angel for her, but also someone that worsens her illness.
Right.
Because obviously
like when you subconscious or something.
When you buy into the psychosis, that makes it worse. But
of course.
So she's the only one who can see him, obviously. But he has like songs and stuff in the musical, so it's a really interesting so he'll be singing with other characters, but you have to look at it like only she can see him, which is kind of weird.
Huh.
So the daughter kind of like lives in the shadow of like her dead brother. So basically her mom pays more attention to someone
who's not real,
someone who's passed away, than to her living daughter. And I don't know, it's a really intensely sad at times musical. And I don't actually remember how it ends, because it's been...
We're talking about Les Mis, too, so I mean...
yeah.
Let's embrace the sadness.
Not all musicals are happy, guys. Yeah, it goes through her kind of battle with mental illness and going to try to get help with the doctor, and then that not really working out, and the daughter probably also being depressed, and the husband trying to cope with everything. So very, very, very interesting. So, but yeah, I mean,
it's nice to see a representation of mental illness in a musical form. Honestly, that you know,
the songs are very good, and the lead actress's performance in that was extremely good. I don't know if she won a Tony, but she was at least nominated for one. So, but yeah, bipolar disorder is what she had. Yeah, it's rare to get a depiction period that's treated seriously
and not
like in a horror film or in like a crime show or whatever. But
very sad.
So even rarer in like a musical, even though
I know. And what I like about seeing it in a musical, is what I'm sure.
Song is so emotional, so it's very. You can evoke a lot of things through song,
right? And
just even the way she
makes it more accessible to people who may not be familiar with the struggle of that. Yeah. The number that they performed at the Tonys, I remember, was she's like, it's called "You Don't Know," and she's singing to her husband about how he doesn't understand what it feels like for her to, go through those the depression mania cycles and what that feels like, and her grief and all of this. And it's a really powerful song. And he basically comes back at her like asking like, no, I don't know, but what do you want me to do about it? I'm trying to support you, but like you're just unreachable, because she's so like attached to this hallucination of her dead son. There's also a really interesting song between the daughter and the son, which is interesting in the context of he's not there. Right, so she's singing to herself.
Yeah, but he's also there. So, like, it's kind of the memory of him kind of torturing her, looming over her. What is that song called? Oh, it's called like Superboy and the Invisible Girl. And she's basically singing about how she feels invisible. Yeah. And kind of he's singing in the song taunting her. So it's almost like her buying into the psychosis of it. So that's interesting. Oh, we got a phone call in the studio.
Studio U, this is Scout. Scout.
Keep going.
Scout.
Okay. Yes. So that's a very interesting.
Sorry, what?
Very interesting song. It's almost like her, kind of almost participating.
This is a radio station.
In the psychosis of her mother, but also just kind of dealing with her own feelings about having her brother having passed away, which I'm sure she has complicated feelings about, but it's hard to have any sort of any sort of goodwill towards a person you've never met when your mom is so hung up on a person that doesn't exist. So
in Norman,
it's very interesting.
Studio U.
So yes, there's okay, we're gonna get y'all back to some music for a minute, and then we'll come right back to you after this.
Welcome back, everyone. You just heard Hard to Find by Cat Locke, who was our radio guest last week along with Mac Pulse. They're the local female musicians. Hard to Find is Cat's new single.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very talented.
Moving on. If you're just joining us, this is Pop Culture Feminists on Studio U, and today we're talking about musicals.
What?
We have already covered Grease and Next to Normal, which I'm very intrigued by the concept of Next to Normal, because I haven't seen or listened to that one yet, and I will be doing so very soon.
Excellent. I got one.
As we're moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and move into another very well-known but very sad one.
Heck yes.
Les Mis.
Heck yeah.
Les Miserables.
Les Miserables.
We're just going to keep saying that in
it's
bad French accent.
Because there's not like an exact translation from French, so that's why it's still called Les Miserables. I mean, it's sort of
not The Miserables.
I mean, it sort of is, but it's it's like the downtrodden, the poor, the suffering, but there's not an exact translation for the exact word, or so I've heard. So
I did not know that, to be honest with you. I just kind of thought they liked the French name, and the Miserables sounded weird.
It does sound weird.
Anyway, all right. So let's talk about Fantine first, probably.
Heck yes.
Since she's the first story that we get.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
The first female story.
Yes. Oh, of course. Not trying to downplay Jean Valjean or anything.
Look down, look down.
You're here until you die.
Mm-hmm.
Mood. Anyway.
Oh, man, the Confrontation song is so good.
Oh,
we're going off track.
Yes, we are.
I loved being in theater in high school because people would try to sing the Confrontation, but they would try to do both parts at once.
I've done that so many times. You have no idea.
It's like, yeah, because you want to. You're like, yeah, I'm going to sing both parts.
I've also gotten someone with, like, I was hanging out with someone who knew it well enough that we took a part and
Excellent.
we did it. That was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I usually try and sing both parts.
Come with me 24601.
Okay, we are very, very off track.
We're talking about women, but we're just thinking about Les Mis.
Yep. All right, Fantine.
Yes.
Played by Anne Hathaway in the movie, but obviously played by many talented singers across.
Leah Salonga.
Yes.
Was one of them.
Yes.
But there are many. Oh, no, wait. Leah Salonga played Eponine. Never mind.
No.
Shut up, me.
Okay, moving on. So.
But lots of talented women.
All these stories are sad, of course.
Yeah.
But Fantine's
is
pretty awful.
Oh, yeah.
It's very bad. And, you know, I've seen Les Mis very many times. And, you know, so you kind of move on past sobbing your eyes out at every scene. But there's still one scene that gets me no matter how many times I watch the movie, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one with Fantine and Jean Valjean where she's like, you sent me here. And he's like, I did? No.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you sent me here to die. And then she dies. And it just...
Yeah.
It hurts very bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
To elaborate, she worked at a factory. She had a daughter, and she was sending money to the daughter through her work at the factory, but they found out
that's the first stigma I wanted to talk about, is that
she was an unwed mother.
Yes. She had been in a relationship several years before that, because the girl is already like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been a while, obviously. She sings about later that it's, you know, it was when she was very young, and this older gentleman kind of doted upon her and showed her the finer things of life, and, you know, she fell for him, and he just kind of used her and abandoned her, and then after he had left her, she found out she was pregnant. And back in that time, there's not a lot you can do about that.
No.
Abortion is not a thing.
No.
Unless you did it yourself, which is very dangerous.
Very dangerous, yes.
Usually deadly. Anyway.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so. She got the baby, and then she sent it to live with somebody else because she couldn't afford... Well, it's kind of like permanent daycare.
Yeah.
She needed to be at work to make money to support the child, but she couldn't leave the child alone while she was at work.
She can't take care of the kid and make money to keep the kid alive at the same time.
So she sent them off to this innkeeper and his wife, who turned out to be terrible.
Yeah. Which I still don't... I have no idea why she sent her there in particular. I've read the book and I don't know.
She's just a poor judge of character, to be honest.
I guess.
Sorry, Fantine.
Yeah.
Fantine.
Yeah. But it was just really bad people.
Yeah, terrible people. Bad choice.
Yeah.
For babysitters.
It's kind of a Cinderella thing with the daughter where they make her work and
they treat their own daughter much better.
Yeah. They still are very poor though. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone in France at that time is poor.
They're constantly trying to get more money out of Fantine. They keep saying, oh, your daughter's sick, your daughter's sick.
Send us more money.
And that's essentially how the people who work at the factory find out about the daughter, is that she gets sent a note that says, your daughter's sick, please send us more money. And they go, I thought you were single, never been married. And they're like, you... See, we keep having to work around some of these words. But, you promiscuous woman.
And so they...
And the foreman, who had been wanting to have outside of marriage sex with her.
Yeah. Was kind of basically harassing her, and of course there's nothing that you can do about it.
Right.
At that time.
There's no parameters for that.
You don't have any rights.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. So, you know, he'd been harassing her, but then she was like, no, the only thing that was keeping him away was that she was like, I'm unwed, I'm pure. And then he's like, oh, you slept with somebody else?
Or, I don't want you anymore.
Well, sort of. It's basically like, you've been lying to me.
Yeah.
Because he kind of implies that she's been, like, doing it this whole time instead of just, like...
7 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's like, oh, you have a 7-year-old kid, so you've been sleeping around every night.
For 7 years.
But you won't sleep with me. You know?
Yeah.
And he gets very petty, and then, of course, he fires her.
Yeah.
And
I guess Jean Valjean witnesses it and doesn't do anything about it.
He doesn't really witness it. He
just comes in at the end.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't know what's happening.
He's there, and he tells the foreman to deal with the fighting factory workers, which is Fantine and the other women.
Yeah.
And the foreman fires her as a means of dealing with it. And Fantine tries to yell out to Jean Valjean to make him stop it, but Jean Valjean's already in his office. So, anyway.
So after that, she has no choice but to turn to prostitution in
which
order
she's
to make money.
Still doing, to make money to save her daughter.
Yes,
because she
can't
still
get
thinks
a
her
real
daughter
job.
is sick.
Yeah.
Because those people are awful, and so she's like, I need to make lots and lots of money fast to take care of my daughter.
Yep, and that's an easy way to do it.
Well,
not easy.
I was gonna say that's the wrong word.
It is, but it's the only option available to her, essentially.
Yeah,
it's the only way to do it.
Yes, absolutely. It's very sad because, she gets syphilis or something.
I think so. Yeah,
and
some
dies
sort of disease. Yeah,
after she's been.
Yeah, she
molested many times.
Cut her hair and sells her hair. She
and
sells her
teeth. That hurts.
Yeah, because
so
there's
much.
like a teeth pulling scene in the movie, and it hurts to watch. She's like basically selling her body in every potential way because she has to. She's like, I have to keep sending money so they'll keep my daughter alive. Yeah, it's very sad. It's heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, Fantine's is. Well, I don't want to say the saddest story. There's so many sad stories.
It's very.
Yeah, it's very visually compelling, I guess, with the prostitution and whatnot. She looks heartbreaking.
Oh yeah, she looks horrible in the movie version, especially. Yeah. They do their best to make her look emaciated and beaten down
and potentially literally beaten. I think she's covered in bruises.
Yeah,
because the people who
they
are
not
paying
gentle.
her. Yeah,
they don't have to be gentle. They're paying.
Yep. Anyway, so after that happy story, let's move on to a different, totally happy, not at all happy story, which is Eponine. Ooh, poor Eponine. I mean, arguably she has the worst parents in the world because her parents are the innkeeper and his wife that are terrible and amoral and just awful, 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 right?
Yes.
So she's stuck with them, and then she falls in love with Marius, like, for her whole life. And, it's not, like, his fault that he doesn't like her back. But it still sucks, because she's like, all I want is to be loved by you. And he kind of blows her off a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like, they're friends, but he's not that great to her.
No. He just doesn't think of her in any kind of way, which
he just, like, doesn't think of her, to be honest.
It just sucks, yeah.
Yeah.
He's so focused on other things, and I'm like, you could at least be nice to her.
Right. Yeah, so she has lousy parents, and she loves this guy who's totally doesn't care about her. And then I personally really hate... Okay, so she dies for him, right? They're on the barricade, and he's about to get shot, and she, like, does that dramatic thing where she dives in and pushes him out of the way.
Yeah, and gets shot.
And gets shot herself, and she's laying there dying. And we learn right then and there that he has known this whole time that she was in love with him.
Yeah.
And, because he suddenly starts to fake say, oh, I've always loved you, and it's like to comfort her in death, I guess, but it just annoyed the heck out of me because I was like, you did know, you slimy backstabber, like, it wasn't that you were oblivious on accident.
You're just being rude.
Yeah. Like, he that's an extra. You could have been nice to her even though you don't like her.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, you're my friend, and I know you're in love with me, but I'm going to pretend that I don't know that. I'm just going to ignore all of your feelings, both romantic and friendly.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Marius.
Thanks, Marius.
Not quite the catch you seem to be honest.
No.
Eddie Redmayne is a eye candy, but
he's adorable, yes.
But Marius,
no.
Not the greatest.
Yeah. And I know, it's like, I don't know. I feel like everyone thinks of Marius as like this great guy and great person, but he's not. He's not. He's kind of a coward.
I'm going to talk about him again in when I talk about Cosette.
Yeah, kind of a coward, kind of not the best guy. I mean, he's like one of those people who like tries, but they're just not like intrinsically the best person. But it's like they have good intentions, but they keep messing up.
Yeah.
Which I guess we can't fault him too much for, because I guess that's what human beings are like. But
yeah, again, that's exactly right. Because when he's trying to comfort Eponine when she's dying,
he has good intentions. Yeah. He wants,
but it just comes off as really rude.
Douchey and
and
okay, ew.
Wait, and it's the same way for Cosette. When we move on to her story, what I don't like about Cosette is that she's constantly infantilized, right?
Yes.
Because, I mean, and the same, it's the same intent from Jean Valjean is that he's like trying to protect her from his ugly past.
Yes.
By not ever telling her about anything.
Yeah.
And it's really annoying. She's like 18. Okay, she's probably not that old, but she looks. But it's crazy because he won't tell about anything. And then, we get to Marius at the end when they're like married.
Yeah.
And Jean Valjean's like, I'm going to tell you this secret, but not my daughter. I just met you and you're my daughter's husband, and I'll tell you, but I won't tell my daughter. And he's like, oh, by the way, promise never to tell my daughter because I don't want her getting hurt. And Marius just agrees to this. He's like, yes, I don't need to tell my wife secrets about her father.
Why to a woman? Okay. No problem.
Yeah. Anyway, she's just constantly being treated like she's a child.
Yeah.
And
she's kind of shielded from most of the bad parts of the narrative. Like in terms of after she's rescued from the innkeepers.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like,
she's the only one who has a relatively happy story.
Yeah.
Because, she gets to be married and her love of her life doesn't die in the war, unlike everybody else.
Literally all of his friends.
And the only thing that happens that's bad to her besides, the childhood thing is, her aging father dies.
Which happens to a lot of people.
Yep, that happens to everybody.
It's like, I get it's kind of like an ignorance is bliss thing, because like she's the only one who gets to have this like semi-happy life, but it's at the cost of any sort of agency or knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like,
she loses out on all parts of life.
A deeper connection with her father that would have been fostered from the truth and all of this stuff.
That's what annoyed the heck out of me about that is that, like, he consciously made that decision, and I know he had good intentions to protect her, but he made that decision to miss out on a relationship with her, knowing that it was torturing her, it was eating her up. She wanted to know more about who her father was as a person. Also, she wanted to go out and have friends, and he was like, no, and she was like, why? And he was like, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being a teenager and your dad's just like, you're not allowed to leave the house ever, and you're like, why? And he's like, I can't tell you.
I'd be like, nope, bye.
Right? Like, come on.
I'm gonna sneak out now.
Anyway, I just, I hate the way she's talked down to all the time. And it just annoys the heck out of me that literally Jean Valjean meets Marius and immediately is like, let me tell you my deepest, darkest secret. I just met you today, but I'll tell you. I won't tell my daughter.
I don't trust my daughter with it, but...
That just, every time I get angry about that, I'm like, Cosette can handle it.
She's a grown woman. She's fine.
She is a human being with, like, thought process capabilities and emotional control and just... Okay. Anyway, that's the end of my Les Mis rant.
Yes.
I love Les Mis. Don't always love the treatment of the characters.
Very excellent.
Okay. All right. So, I'm going to go to a happier one.
Yay.
I mean,
relatively.
I'm not saying, yeah, I was like, it's not like happy, but, because we're sitting here critiquing characters, or sometimes celebrating them, but.
Yeah. You can do both.
Yeah, that's true. There
can be good parts and bad parts.
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm at with this next set of characters.
All right.
So I'm going to talk about Kinky Boots, which not all of you might be familiar with.
I am not.
But it's a really awesome story, and you should definitely listen to it, just like Next to Normal. But basically, it was a regular movie first, and then it was written into a musical by Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh, Cyndi Lauper. Anyway. Sorry, guys.
Mood.
Okay. It's a little late. It's only like 7 o'clock, but it's fine. So, yes, Kinky Boots. This is a story of a guy who works at a shoe factory. His name's Charlie. It's like a legacy thing with like his dad owns the shoe factory and it's going to be passed down to him, but then he doesn't want it. He and his girlfriend he and his fiance are going to move to London because they live in like a small town where the shoe factory is. They're going to move to London and start their new big lives. But then as soon as they move to London, his dad dies. And so he goes back and he learns the company's going out of business and no one else will take it over. So he's like, I have to keep it going. He suddenly feels inspired to keep it going. And then he meets a drag queen named Lola. And they kind of become friends. And this is where he gets his inspiration from, is because the reason the shoe company's going out of business is because they make like quality shoes, but they're boring and they're not selling because it's like the new age and people want excitement.
People want exciting shoes.
Yes.
People want kinky boots.
Oh, well, it's funny you should mention that. Because
they do.
That's exactly where this story is headed.
Oh,
believe it or
yeah,
not.
I got it.
Lily's so smart.
I know.
So, basically he meets this drag queen, and the drag queen's like, I mean, this is not how they meet, but, oh, my heels break constantly because
they're bad
stilettos are not meant to hold a full-grown man's weight.
Right.
And they're always poor quality. And Charlie, which is the main guy, is like, wait, I've got it. We can reach out to this niche market of men who need high heels and we'll make so much money. And so they team up and they start designing shoes and it's good. But then, like, he and the girlfriend break up because the girlfriend's like, I want to keep doing our life in London. And he's like, but I have to stay here. I want to continue my father's legacy. So they break up. And she's the first person I want to talk about because she's kind of painted as like a what's a workaround for the word that I want to say?
A tart?
No. Shrill and
a shrew.
Yeah, whatever. A bee. Y'all got it. Moving on.
A mean girl. A Regina George, if you will.
Yes. Okay, so like when we first meet her, like she makes this comment about, you know, there's these really expensive pretty shoes in a store and she's like, oh, Charlie, buy me those shoes. You know, she's like, oh, if you love me, you'll buy me those shoes. But like, okay, personal interpretation time. I feel like it's pretty obvious that she doesn't mean like you have to prove your love for me by buying those shoes.
Right, it's a joke.
Or like, you know, it's like I want those shoes, but like,
yeah.
And he's like, they're really expensive, and she's like, ha ha ha, you can steal them if you want. You know, that's why it made me think. I was like, okay, that's like obviously, you know, it's a joke.
Yeah.
And then they move to London. They have this, like, clearly they have a good relationship. She's nice. And then, you know, she suddenly gets painted as this bad guy whenever she breaks up with him for him wanting to stay in this small town. But I'm like, okay, they literally already moved to London.
Yeah.
And this is like her dream is to, what do they do? They sell real estate, I think. Whatever. Real estate marketing or whatever. And this is like her dream. And that she makes that very clear. And then she even tries to like help in the wrong way, but she does try to help. She's like, what if you sell the company and then, you know, like, and she like gets a marketing person there and is like, they've made an offer, they'll buy it for this much, you know. She's really making an effort. And then whenever he says, no, I want to stay and keep the company going, it's not like she's like, ugh, you know. She's like, I'm sorry, Charlie, but I have to go and like follow my dream.
Right.
And yet she still somehow gets painted as the bad guy. You know, like, oh, she's so shrill and selfish, and it's like, no, she's not.
It's like,
she's a human being with feelings.
It's like, yeah, when two people in a relationship end up wanting different things, it's okay for them to break up.
Right.
One of them doesn't have to sacrifice everything to let the other person have their dream.
I know. I just hate this character's name is Nicola, by the way. She's just like demonized, and I don't want to stretch it as far as demonized, but she's definitely painted as selfish.
Yeah.
And I just hate that.
Yes.
Because she's clearly not.
No.
And then on the flip side, the girl that he ends up with, because I'm sorry if you didn't know this was going where he ended up with someone, you were missing out on every musical ever.
Up with a drag queen, in my opinion.
Well,
as someone who's never seen it.
Fortunately, neither he nor the drag queen are gay, so
can't.
Anyway, so he ends up with this girl that he worked with at the factory, and it's like, you know, she's like the girl next door type and blah blah blah, and she is like romanticized so hard.
Oh yeah.
But I don't like her. Well, hold on, hear me out.
I am hearing
She sings this song when he because he comes back and he's trying to run the company, and everyone's like, I don't know if you can do this. And she's like, you're a failure, blah, blah, blah.
Fun.
And then he like, it's clearly he's had a change of heart. And then she goes, like, he walks off or he offers to promote her to like, he's asking for her help to help run the company. And so then she sings this song after he's like, think about it. And she's like, I always thought of you as this stupid, weird guy.
Ouch.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, but now suddenly, you know, you're passionate about something and you're actually kind of cool and cute. You know?
Yeah.
And so, like...
shallow.
Yeah, like, we're trying to paint Nicola as shallow. Lauren's pretty shallow, okay? Like, come on. But it's still, like... Because then she sings... Or I guess that's the same song. It's called History of Wrong Guys. And then she talks about how all of her terrible past relationships.
Right.
And she's like, maybe this one could be good. And it's just like, you know, because of that girl next door, or like girl that you didn't see the whole time but has always been there type of stereotype, she gets really heavily romanticized and like pushed into that category.
Right.
And it's really annoying because she's not, like, it's not some grand romance, you know? Like, come on. And then, what else did I have to say? Yeah, I guess that's it. But I just, you know, at the end, he's like, do you want to go out on a date? And she's like, I thought you'd never ask. I just... Everything about that character gets on my nerves, and like how hyped up she is as like the love interest.
Right.
I'm like, Lauren, get out of here. I don't care about you.
No,
Go.
I care about the boots.
I also care about the boots. Anyway, it's a great musical, and if you haven't seen it, you should. Anyway, we're gonna go to a quick musical break with some Paramore.
Rad.
And we'll be right back, and we're going to talk about...
More musicals.
Wicked and...
Yes. Oh, yes, Wicked.
Hamilton to wrap up the show, okay?
Heck yeah.
So we will be back. In the meantime, here's some Paramore. Hello, guys. Welcome back to our final block of the evening as we're wrapping up our show about musicals. If you're just joining us, we are the Pop Culture Feminists, and this is Studio U, Voice of OU.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about musicals. We've already covered Grease and Next to Normal and Les Mis and Kinky Boots. We're going to wrap it up with two more for you, which would be Wicked and Hamilton, two of the definitely more popular musicals out there. All right, so I'm going to kick it off with Hamilton. I know Lily has a lot to say about Wicked, so I'm going to try and speed through Hamilton a little bit so that she has time.
It's okay. Take your time. Well,
we got about 20 minutes.
Yeah, we can do it. Go.
Well,
take your time.
All right. Oh, you know what I want to... Okay, briefly, I'm going to talk about Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, okay.
Because Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors
is a good character.
Is a very important character. Because that that sends a very important message. Not a good message, but an important message.
Love it.
Which is, okay, so if you're not familiar with Little Shop of Horrors, I'm only going to give an overview of Audrey's part in this. But she has a physically abusive boyfriend. He's like this crazy dentist. It's very scary, actually. He's horrifying. But he's physically abusive towards her. And it's awful because, she's trapped in this relationship because she can't leave him because... he's very scary.
Right.
And then our main character of the movie is Seymour, who's this, like, super awkward, nerdy guy, right? Mm-hmm. And he is like, I'm in love with Audrey. She doesn't know. And then he's like, I wish I could take her away from that jerk. But here's the thing, is that he's so... like, icky in the way he cares about her,
Yes.
He's like, she should be mine. Mm-hmm. And it's very possessive.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's gross.
It's not like, man, I wish I could help her out of this bad situation. It's like, well, she should be with me instead, and I wouldn't treat her like that.
Yeah, and it's just irksome.
Yes.
She just gets the short end of both sticks,
yeah.
Because she does...
the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, because she does end up with Seymour, right? Like, obviously, it's a musical. And they end up together, but, like, he just... Ugh. Oh, plus their boss is, like, verbally abusive towards her. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. She's got a physically abusive boyfriend, a verbally abusive boss, and a creepy, possessive
nice
friend.
Guy.
Yes, exactly. He's a nice guy. That's exactly what it is.
I think he also kills people and feeds them to a plant.
Well, that's later.
That's
later. And it's just... Ugh. That's all I wanted to say about that was poor Audrey.
Yes.
It's an important message. I just want to make sure that people know that Seymour is not the ideal for a man.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Hamilton. Where's my Hamilton notes? Right there. Okay. So I'm going to talk about 3 women from Hamilton. Pardon me. First is Eliza, which is Hamilton's wife. And she gets... Obviously, she has a terrible time of it because, they're in love, they're married, and then he cheats on her, and it, like, breaks her heart. There's a whole song about it. It's called Burn. It's a very heartbreaking song. And so they're divorced, and she's like, I hope you burn, because, you really broke my heart. And then, sorry, spoiler alert for anybody. I mean, we always tell the ending of these, so.
Yeah.
Her son dies, their son dies, and, that devastates her even more, and so she needs somebody in her life, so she goes back to Hamilton, who's like, I changed. And then they, like, patch up their relationship, and then, you know, she, like, lives another 50 years after him because he dies early because he gets shot.
Yes.
And, she does all this stuff to, like, help build the Hamilton legacy. And, I mean, it's really sweet. Because, I mean, I think she still does love him, and she was just really hurt after the cheating. But, like, just, like, Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Very frustrating. She gets cheated on and then ends up going back to him because she loves him. But whatever. Whatever. I guess there wasn't really a lot to say about Eliza besides that.
Right.
She also just gets a lousy time of it.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's Angelica, which is Eliza's sister, which makes her Hamilton's sister-in-law.
Right.
But she is also totally in love with Hamilton.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. And she, like, actually had first shot at him, but then she was like, oh no, my sister loves him.
Mm-hmm.
And so she, like, didn't say anything about her own feelings and let her sister have him and be happy.
Right.
And so she basically just spends his whole time pining after someone she can never have, and she gets married to somebody else, but she, like, doesn't like him. Well, I don't know that she doesn't like him. She just doesn't care about him, really.
Right.
And Hamilton is kind of flirty with her. It's like, this is your sister-in-law, but all right. You know, he just kind of messes with her feelings.
Right.
It's really sad. And then, but what I like about Angelica's character is that, you know, Hamilton cheats on Eliza, and Eliza's like, I hate you.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamilton tries to go to Angelica, and he's like, you understand, right? And she's like,
No.
I know I love you, but
No.
you devastated my sister. I'm not going to speak to you again until she wants to speak to you again, which is probably never.
Right.
So, yeah.
Good.
That's what I like about Angelica's character, is because, you know, she has
integrity,
and it's awesome. Because, okay. Oh, real quick.
Yes.
I love the way that Aaron Burr cares about Theodosia, his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Although also his wife, but mostly his daughter is the important part. Because, you know, he's like, you're going to make this country a better place.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that, you know, even though it's like the 1700s.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Burr is like, my daughter is going to make this world a better place, you know?
Heck yes.
Okay, so, no, the most interesting person, in my opinion, to talk about is Maria Reynolds, who is the Mistress of Hamilton.
Mm.
So, in the song where they cheat, it's called Say No to This.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote down some of the lyrics because it really irked me the first time I heard this, and also all the other times, honestly. You know, like, she's painted to be this, like, temptress, whatever, and then his song is like, Lord, help me say no to this.
Mm-hmm.
But the lyrics that I wrote down, because they're the ones that really annoyed me, was, she led me to her bed, let her legs spread.
Mm-hmm.
Which just, those lyrics imply so much blame onto her.
Yeah.
And it's like, hi there.
You're the one cheating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, she's married too, but...
But he's two to tango.
He's blaming his, like... Those lyrics, anyway, make it sound like he's blaming his cheating on her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. No, 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 no.
I mean, yeah.
No. She let her legs spread. It's her fault.
Yeah.
This is why we talk about the importance of word choice.
Yes.
This is very, very blamey onto her.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like justifications that people use for, you know, assault and harassment too. It's like it was her fault because I just couldn't help myself because she did this, and this.
Yeah, she was so attractive and like she dressed so sexy. I couldn't
control myself, and it's like you could control yourself.
Yeah, that's
it's your fault.
Exactly the way this gets presented in this. I mean, like later he kind of says it was my fault, but like
not really.
Not at first. Certainly not at first.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, she led me to her bed. She let her legs spread.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, Lord, tell me how to say no to this. Because apparently she's just so tempting. And she has put all this effort into seducing him that he can't say no.
Mm-hmm.
It just... I love Hamilton, don't get me wrong. It's a great musical, and it has a lot of really good things to say. But that's just so unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because even when he takes responsibility for it later, he, like, only kind of takes responsibility for it.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, I should have said no, definitely. But also, I'd still like to point out that she seduced me. Okay,
bye. I'm gonna go before you can process what I said. Bye.
Yeah, basically.
Annoying.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always that, I don't know, that blame on the mistress or the other woman where it's like, oh, it's your fault because you seduced a married man. It's not his fault for cheating on his wife and breaking her trust.
In all those movies where the wife hates the other woman.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you hate your husband?
Right, because he's the one who did it.
You don't cheat unless you want to.
Right. Conscious decision, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, man. That's just a whole
other can of worms that has little to do with musicals. But
yes. Alrighty, yo. Let's move on to Wicked.
Okay.
I'm just stop being angry about Hamilton. Okay. I love Hamilton, but I'm stop being angry about it. Okay.
All right.
Wicked. Okay, so I am not as familiar with Wicked as Lily is. But I can introduce at least probably the main person we're going to talk about, who is Elphaba.
Yes.
Who, if you're probably only primarily familiar with The Wizard of Oz, like the movie from the 30s, it would be the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yes.
But this kind of like tells
the story of what happened before.
Right, and like her becoming quote unquote wicked.
Yes.
And spoiler alert, that was just a rumor spread by some minions of the evil wizard. I know, we thought he was good, but he's not.
He's not. He's a douchebag. I mean, he's a bad person.
I don't think that counts.
Okay. He's a bad person. I'll say that louder than I said the thing that I said.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Okay. So basically, stop me if I'm wrong, because I have a general knowledge of this.
Yeah.
From listening to the soundtrack a little bit. Elphaba is really gifted, and so she gets picked to be like mentored by this guy. I mean, well, mentored by a woman, I guess, because she's talented, and then she introduces him to the wizard. And at first, Elphaba's really excited about this. She was like, I'm so special. I was chosen by the wizard.
Yeah.
But it turns out that he's lousy and has, like, I don't want to say, like, evil schemes, but, like...
No. Well, he just kind of... His power is based on nothing. Like, he's from the human world of, or I guess you could call it that, of, like, you know, where Dorothy later comes from, like, our world, the real world, and he just kind of accidentally stumbled into Oz, like, because he was in a hot air balloon, and no one was, they were like, we don't know what a hot air balloon is, so we assume you have magical powers. So he basically, his power is built on nothing, so, but then to maintain power, you just have to kind of go along with it and maybe shut some people up along the way if they say bad things about you.
Right. Is that what, besides, she's upset about the fact that he's a fake.
Yes.
But she's also upset about something that he does, some plot that he has, right?
Oh, yeah, he's there's talking animals in Oz, and he's just kind of exploiting the animals for labor,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew there was something less than tasteful going on.
He also might be her dad.
Oh.
That's implied at the beginning of the movie that he's also her dad, but that's not something that's really explored. It's just implied that he might be her dad.
Okay.
But
moving on. So she's upset about the fact that he sucks, basically. And then she's like, I won't help you. And he's like, well, forget you then if you won't help me. And then kind of turns her into this social pariah.
Yeah.
Because, he's all powerful and everyone supports him. And so he can just make up whatever he wants about her.
Yeah, say that she did something bad or she tried to hurt him.
She got framed.
Yeah, for something. I don't remember the exact incident that happens, but something happens
crime,
that they frame her for it, so she has to leave.
And then all of his minions spread a rumor that she's evil and wicked, and so that's how she gets the title, the Wicked Witch of the West.
And everyone's so afraid of her, even though she doesn't really
do anything wrong,
bad. Yeah. And then eventually at one point she's just she's tried so hard to be good and do good things that she's it's not worth it anymore. She's she has this song called No Good Deed, and she's basically I've tried to do all these good things and I don't have anything to show for it. And then at one point in this song she's maybe it's because maybe I was doing all these good things for myself and not for others, and maybe that's why it's bad to do good deeds. And she's I'm not gonna do a good deed for anybody anymore. I'm gonna be wicked.
Yeah, so she kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
Because they paint her that way, and so she gets so frustrated that she eventually embraces it.
Yeah.
Also, there's a little side story that y'all would be familiar with the Wizard of Oz version, is that, she and Glinda,
the Good Witch.
Glinda the Good Witch, yes, know each other. But, in the movie, it's just painted as, they know each other because they're both witches, and then, they're not friends or anything. But in Wicked, it turns out that they, known each other for a long time, and they were very good friends and dear friends.
Yes.
And they just took separate paths because of, choices.
Yeah.
But they still kind of love each other. Although, okay, wait, at the beginning, when they first meet each other, they hate each other, and then they kind of become friends. Yeah. But Glinda is the goody two-shoes popular girl, obviously, and she tries to turn the kind of rebellious Elphaba or radical Elphaba into another popular goody two-shoes, and that kind of backfires, and so Elphaba gets a little upset about that too.
Okay.
But
yes.
Yeah, so that's just another aspect of her character that they keep trying to change her. Yeah. From someone that she's not. Yeah. And honestly, I feel she's painted with more moral integrity than Glinda is, because even though Glinda's a goody two-shoes, she's such a people pleaser that she won't turn her back on the wizard even after Elphaba's he's fake.
No, she's very much a maintain the status quo sort of person, even if it would be better for her to not do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're almost out of time here, guys. So that wraps up our musical episode.
Yes.
Stay tuned for Lost Forgotten Oklahoma, which is coming on in about 5 minutes. We gotta get out of here so they can get set up.
Yep.
And we're gonna play you out with a little bit of Marina and the Diamonds. See you next week.
Good.